Welcome back, guys, to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, where last episode we investigated the storage room of Windybank's Pawnbrokery, obtaining more blood colorations to catalogue, along with learning that Iris's manuscript was still stored within, even with its box having been somewhat ransacked. We then returned to the prison with the day winding on to make sure that we could represent Gina in court, showing her that we knew why she was there before Ryunosuke spotted some blood on her redeemed coat sleeves, with the blood coloration gun being used and showing a splattered pattern all over it and colour that exists as conclusive proof that Magnus McGilded stabbed Fry's-fired Mason, which inadvertently led us to convince Gina to let us defend her in tomorrow's trial. However, before the scene came to a close, Susato has noticed someone watching from the shadows. Miss Susato? Somebody is there in the shadows. I can sense it. Somebody who wasn't there before. What? Blimey, you're sharp, eh? Hey, it's Gregson. Okay, that's fine. I suppose she was using one of those mystic Japanese arts like the art stealth I've heard so much about. If anyone was being stealthy, it was you, Inspector. Gregsy! Oh dear me, I'm most terribly sorry, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you. How long have you been listening in on our conversation? Good grief, listening in? No. I just got word that there were some visitors who were refusing to leave, even though it was after hours. I assure you, ladyship, I only just arrived this very minute, not a moment earlier. That's all it is, nothing untoward, nothing at all. After hours? Is it that late already? So then, I'll humbly excuse myself now, your ladyship. Ta-da, toodaloo, cheerio, all the best, bye-bye, bye-bye. That's a lot of farewells and not one of them appropriate for her ladyship. Oh, but I wanted to have a chat. I'm terribly sorry, but time is pressing in a minute. Oh, I see. That's a shame. If I don't get this emergency at the Supreme Court dealt with sharpish, Lord Strongheart will, well... Emergency? Lord Strongheart? Nothing. Forget I said anything. Anyway, I'm off. All right, Gregsy, if you have to, but let's chat soon. Delighted, charmed, can't wait. If you please, my pleasure. That's a lot of pleasantries, and not one of them sounded sincere. Gregsy's so funny. He says such silly things. It's certainly entertaining to see an inspector of the police falling to a 10-year-old girl. However, he definitely listened in to us for longer, didn't he? But anyway, I wonder what this emergency is at the Supreme Court. I must attend the court clerk's office now before it closes. Yes, of course. Thank you, Miss Susato. Shouldn't we go with her if there's an emergency there? Kindly escort Iris home now, Mrs. Naruhodo. I shall meet you there later. And so our investigation came to an end. Susato-san went to file the necessary papers for my defense of Gina the following day. And then it hit me. I could no longer suppress the wretched feeling that had been gnawing away at my insides. Tomorrow, Susato-san would be leaving Britain and making her way back to Japan. So at night, we kind of say our farewells, I guess, in some sense. The pre-farewells, you could say. Naruhodo-san, it's been a very trying day, hasn't it? I do hope you're not too exhausted. What about you, Susato-san? Today has been even more trying for you, I'm sure. Mr. Sholmes was shot before our eyes, Gina was arrested, all on the back of the news that her father has fallen ill and that she must return to Japan at once. I hope your father recovers soon. Thank you for your kind words. I wonder why it is that so many thoughts rage in my head like a storm. And yet, I seem unable to find the words to express any of them. I know exactly what you mean. Anyway, I have one final task to complete as your judicial assistant. Once that is done, I shall make preparations for my departure tomorrow. One final task? What is that then? Well, that's on the end of the list. going back to Japan. It's just 2 months since we arrived in London, but we've managed to establish this office. It was finally feeling as though we were settling in. I would be lying if I said I felt no regret. I'm so sorry, Susato-san. It's just so sudden. I really don't know what to think. I've had no time to gather my thoughts. I know we've only been here a short time, but in my limited experience of the courtroom, I feel I've learnt something. And what would that be? It seems to me there are many facets to people's personalities. Facets? And like a jewel, the light plays off them in complex patterns, illuminating their actions and their motives. But we only see a small number of the total facets, and what is illuminated is only a part of the whole story. What lies in the shadows? What do those facets we cannot see look like? Perhaps there are some parts we'll never lay eyes on, for as long as we live. That's so true. Sometimes I feel as though I'm blind to so much, but I keep hoping that one day it will all become clear. That all the facets will be illuminated and I'll finally understand how everything fits together. Naruhodo-san, I suppose what matters is that we keep our eyes open and keep moving forward, even if the way sometimes seems dark. It's amazing to think it's been just 2 months. You've grown so much. Sorry, I've what? Oh no, it was nothing. Unimportant. It was nothing unimportant, that's for sure. I want to know. Tomorrow's departure. Do you know what time you will leave London in the morning? Yes, I picked up my ticket earlier. I should be leaving here at 4 a.m. I see. Well, I'll escort you to the station. Absolutely not. Sorry. I'm sure you realize why I couldn't possibly let you do that. You have a very important day ahead of you tomorrow. Ginas Trial. Yes, I know, but every word you utter will have the potential to determine Gina's fate. You must get as much rest as possible. Even though, like me, I'm sure you will find it hard to sleep. But please, for me, do try. One final task then. You mentioned one final task a moment ago. What did you mean? Oh my, I nearly forgot. Please, I want you to have this. What is that? Some huge bundle of documents? It's my notes from the case 2 months ago. The murder that was committed on the omnibus. The McGilded case. It seems to me that this case of Mr. Winterbank's murder, of which Gina is accused, is very much tied up with that omnibus case, in ways that are not yet completely apparent. So I took the liberty of consolidating my writings about the case for you. But everything else she's had to think about. Susato-san still managed to do this, and all neatly laid out for me in her beautiful handwriting. It was my pleasure. I can only hope that it will bolster your case tomorrow for Gina. Thank you so much, Susato-san. I will do my best to use it wisely. You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said there. Oh, ignore me. I was just mumbling to myself. The McGilded case notes have been entered into the court record. Well, it's getting rather late. I think you should go to bed now, Naruhodo-san. I must finish packing up my things in my room. Susato-san, I wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night. Wait, there's something I need to say. Hiya! What was that? A secret technique of mine. The Susato shutdown. Shutdown? Please, I implore you. If we have to voice our goodbyes, I won't be able to hold back my tears. They've grown very close. Susato-san. Even though I cannot pronounce her name in one consistent fashion, just like Maya or Maya, the tradition continues. It truly had been a trying day. On our feet for hours, getting Gina to open up to us, and learning the truth about that nemesis of a case. Physically and mentally, I was exhausted, and yet the idea of sleep seemed impossible. But I forced myself to close my eyes, and as a cacophony of scenes of our lives here in London played through my mind, eventually, my fatigue triumphed, and I fell into a deep sleep. The 17th of April, the small hours, St. Sinner's Hospital, Ward 3. Yes, I quite understand. That is a great weight off my mind. Rest assured, I shall put everything in place, exactly as we have discussed. Thank you so much. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, Mr. Sholmes. On the contrary, the pleasure has been mine. I bid you farewell, and Godspeed. My dear madame. He's up and running. So that begs the question, who's going to stand by my side? Is that what we're setting up? Because that could be entertaining. As we move to trial at last, the defense of Gina Lestrade truly begins. When I awoke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets, and so began an even longer day than the last, one that I would remember for the rest of my days. And so, we come once more to the Old Bailey and prepare ourselves. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it. So where's your friend then? Sorry. You know, her in the fancy dress. Susato, or how you say it. I don't know. Yeah, nor do I. Gina, we joined the club. The tradition. We keep it alive. Ah, Miss Susato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up. You right with that, are ya? Forget about me if you like. Go and see her off. It's fine. It's not as though Miss Susato and I won't meet again. One day. Even so. But you, Gina. You only get one chance. This trial today is all we have. Good morning, you two. Wagga hi! How are you feeling, Giddy? Did you manage to sleep? Meow indeed. Iris, what are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. Isn't that right, Waggy? Ah, Waggy! Great way to show you support, kitty. That's just how kitties are. Let him have a nose around. What I'm gonna do? Oh, that reminds me. I bought a paper on the way here. Now, would you like the good news or the bad news? What'd you say, Bruno? Guinea? Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Nah, always take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad. Yes, that question always gives away people's personalities. let's not go there. Alright then, I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning, and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move. Ah, the bad news was a weather report. What, you mean normal England? So I hope that Susie made her train to Dover and that the train isn't delayed on its way to the port. Gosh, yes. Though, to be honest, we'd have improved our drainage significantly around there since then. Alright then, so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon. So even if the train is delayed, it should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it? I couldn't give a monkey's, really. If only all good news cancelled out the bad. And look, this trial has made the headlines too. Pawnbroker perishes in pick-purse plunder, see? How do you like that? Well, let them say what they want. See if I care. I can't because you're covering your face. Don't worry, Bruno will soon show everyone that this headline is nonsense. I will. And then in tomorrow's papers, the headlines will be, "Discharged diver is dauntless do-gooder." Isn't that right, Bruno? Oh, yes. Let's hope so. Of course they will. I have absolute faith in you. How was that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it? It's like she was still here. Today's paper has been entered into the court record. Good luck then, Bruno. I'll do what I can. Huh? Obviously, I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you moral support and encouragement. I'm not sure that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but... Thank you, Iris. That's very kind of you. Oh yeah, Iris. Yes, Guinea? Well, I was wondering, is all about Sholmes. Did they fix him up all right? Yes, the operation was a great success, but Hurley still hasn't come around yet. Eh? I've asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up. I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news. Oh, right. No Susato-san and no Mr. Sholmes. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime. Miss Gina Lestrade, counsel for the defense. The trial is about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom. It's time then. Yes. Let's go, Gina. Iris. Lead the way, Bruno. I want to see who's on the jury. Will there be familiar faces again? Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that. So on the 17th of April at 10 a.m. in the Old Bailey courtroom, we go to work. There are familiar faces. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. This trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready. Lord Van Zieks. My lord. Remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service? It was some 5 years ago, my lord. Yes, and then 2 months ago you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances of which the court should be aware that have led to this erratic behavior? In what one might describe as your former life 5 years past, you dealt exclusively in matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government. Really? Yet today you choose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, counsel. There are 2 types of person I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind a mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large. He means Mr. McGilded, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago. Hi, Iris. Yes, I just about managed to work that out. Thank you. Magnus McGilded. If I'd known what a monster he was, I never would have defended him. And secondly, even more loathsome, are those wily scoundrels who masquerade as allies only to effect total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, the confidence tricksters from those tiny islands in the Far East. The Nipponese. Wow. What? Did he really just say that? He means you now, Runo. I actually managed to work that out too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about? That torrid look of hatred in Lord Van Zeek's eyes. Was that directed solely at me, or was he talking about all Japanese people? An alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zeeks. Alarming indeed. Still, the judiciary welcomed the return of the so-called Reaper of the Bailey, feared by all London's malefactors. Your lordship is too kind. And now, jurors, the 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant? What the hell? Juror number 6. Former lieutenant in the British Army here, don't you know? Chaps like me were born ready. Clean crockery, clean cutlery, and a clean conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think. Everything will be stereoscopic in the future. Absolutely everything, and I'm ready for it. I don't understand it. I can't have left it in there. It's not possible. But could I have? Seriously? Women indispensable in society. Stop. Female-centric future awaits. Stop. Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. Is something wrong, Runo? Oh, not exactly. It's just... I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact. Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? But it is quite strange. The jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know. So I've been led to believe, but something tells me I'm being duped. Very well. Now, Lord Van Zeeks, the court called upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case. As you wish, my lord. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there's never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Windybank, proprietor of a pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents this photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near-instant death. Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. And what's that supposed to tell us? It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone like the accused, you might say. Oh! The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord. Indeed. The court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please. The autopsy report has been entered into the court record. The crime scene photograph has been entered into the court record as well. I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incident occurred. The proprietor was found in the storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him. A windowless room with a single point of entry, a door to the main shop that was found locked. In this sealed chamber, there were only 2 persons present. The victim, Mr. Windybank, and the accused. It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet. Well, that's that then, isn't it? Nothing more to say. Isn't that grubby little girl a pickpocket anyway? She's one of those filthy drabs that live in the slums in the East End. Oh well, it was only a matter of time before she got blood on her hands then. What are the jurors waiting for? The girl's guilty as hell. We can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive. My learned Nipponese friend, it is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. Good gracious! After their testimony, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pickpurse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. The court will take the floor plan and firearm into evidence. Hand to the bailiff, please, Lord Van Zeeks. At once, my lord. The crime scene floor plan has been added. And Windybank's gun. Shall I examine that? There are signs of a single discharge. Striations? Do they know that yet? This isn't good. I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Runo. I think that's because it has. Let us begin. I bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder of Mr. Pop Windybank on 16th of April of this year. Nothing suspicious to be found here. Nothing at all suspicious. But equally, if I look at them and think they're suspicious, doesn't that make me bigoted too? Let's not be like Van Zeeks. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation's baddie. Professional baddie. Nothing suspicious. Do not assume he likes pears, so he must be good. Name's Ringo Skulkin. Okay, sure. Name's Ringo Skulkin. Occupation's same as him. Spice Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector. That's right. We're what they call the Three Skulkin Brothers. What are you looking at me like that for? Don't let me in with you lot. God blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we got? What we're going through? Yeah, through. It's all a bruv. Lots of contact with him we have. So we scan every shady corner of the capital. And then last night we come across you, the very spit of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo? He is, Nash, he is. The very spit of him. So we decided there and then what we was gonna do. We was gonna call you Big Bruv Sulky. Come on, leave it out, you two. Sulky Skulkin. And that's before he's run out of chips? Well then. Inspector Sulky Gregson. Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias. What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you were doing in the witness stand. The Skulking brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft. Thieves, are they? These three? No, my lord. Begging your pardon, but please don't let me in with this lot. 2 nights ago, these two brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle. And in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say, what an extraordinary coincidence! Indeed, my lord. While attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder. Order! Order! The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings, though they will naturally face trial in the very near future. With your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow. Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand. Mr. and Mr. Silkin, you will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question and what exactly you saw. Happy to. Because a skulkin's never skulking. Get out of it. Our witness testimony. A legal entry has begun. Though we should probably end here before we hear it and get to work next time. But first of all, before we leave, I'm just going to check out the guns, see if there's actually any examinations I can do of the barrel, etc. See if there's anything I can glean, because I'd be hoping there was something weird with it. This is Mr. Windibank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty. Mr. Windibank always used to keep this gun to hand on his shop counter. Yes, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand. That's right, to keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe. But his one bullet was fired that night, and the poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder? Trying to keep the articles safe? That is a question. There doesn't seem to be anything else as part of it. The barrel is empty. Everything's empty. That is sad times for the examinations. So, we continue next time on the Great Ace Attorney Adventures with the Skulkin Brothers' testimony. Hoping that Gregson doesn't completely get sucked in. However, supposedly he's the right old spit of them. Which now brings up, I guess, other questions of a certain Skulkin that happened at some point in time. We'll see if we learn anything more next time. I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.